So a couple of months ago, my wife decided that she wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle. And I blame it all on Ewan McGregor and Charley Bowles. I'm probably getting his last name wrong. I guarantee it. If I did, I'll put it in the comments. But hey, we watched this documentary that they did called Long Way Round. And it's on Netflix, and I highly recommend that if you're into motorcycles, you watch it. It's 9 episodes long about these two actors going around the world from London to New York City, going east all the way across Europe and Asia and North America. And it got me saying to my wife, hey, I'd like to do that, but you know, I'll stay in the U.S. and try to hit all 48 states and all that. And I've planned it out, and I've mapped it out, and figured out places where that we have relatives that will stop and visit, but that trip's quite a few years off right now. So I started looking at the big motorcycles, and I've been riding my Honda CTX 700 for about 6 months at that time. I was thinking, you know, about 3 or 4 years down the line, upgrading to something like a Harley Davidson Road Glide, or you know, big touring bike, something like that. And then we had this idea of this cross-country trip, and she said, yeah, that'd be fun. I could follow you in the car. And then as the more we watched the documentary, she said, you know, I think I'd experience more if I was on the bike. But I know her. And I said, hey, aren't you going to want to have your control over your own motorcycle? And she said, yeah, you know me. So a couple of weeks later, she went through her Motorcycle Safety Foundation class and got her license, which is, in our state, in Texas, the way that you get your motorcycle endorsement. You take the motorcycle safety class, and that counts as your driving test. So I started looking around for motorcycles for her, and possibly looking around for motorcycles for me, and what it came down to was this right here. This is Pearl, my Indian Scout 60, and she became my second motorcycle, and in 3 months' time, I've racked up as many miles on this bike as I had on my Honda in 6 months' time. A lot of that could be said to the weather, but there were some 30-degree days that I was out riding on this motorcycle, and there was rainy days that I went out and rode on this motorcycle that are things that I just didn't do on my Honda. And that's because I really enjoy riding this motorcycle that much. The Indian is very smooth. The shifting is very smooth. She gets a lot of comments from people that I park by and all of that. It was the smaller engine, which is they call it a Scout 60, but it's really 61 cubic inches. For what I was told, AMA Flat Track doesn't allow motors that are bigger than 1,000 cc's. And the Indian Scout was, I think, 1132 cc's with a 69 cubic inch engine that it has. So Indian came out with the Scout 60, which measures in at 999 cc's, just to get in under that 1,000 cc mark, and immediately they started up a flat track team. So here I am, looking at the Indian that I think is one of the most beautiful motorcycles on the market. Very interested in it, thinking that, yeah, I could handle moving up into one of these. But you know, I'm 6'2", I'm 260 pounds. Is it going to be big enough? And sitting on this motorcycle, does feel small-ish. Feels small-ish. It feels smaller than my Honda by a little bit, but I'm okay with it because she's maneuverable, she's playful, she likes to handle. And yeah, it has the smaller motor, but it's 999 cc's. That's not too awful small, and I'm not really interested in racing. And if I'm not really paying attention to my speed, I can get up to 85 miles an hour before I really realize what's going on. During my entire break-in period, I never went above half throttle in my first 500 miles. And she was just perfectly fine with it. After the break-in, I started pushing her a little bit and going to, some harder acceleration and all of that, just because I love hearing the exhaust. The stock exhaust suits me fine. There's a lot of folks that say, oh no, I want a louder bike, but I love the way this one sounds. Just on stock. But yeah, it has plenty of power for me, and so it's. People ask me, why did you get the smaller Scout instead of the big Scout? And first off, there's no difference in size of the two Scouts. It's a difference in the displacement of the engine. It's a difference in gearing in the transmission. The Scout is 6-speed, and the Scout 60 is 5-speed. And you don't lose your top gear. 5th speed on my bike is the same as 6 gear on a Scout. What's missing in the Scout 60 is 5th gear. The gear ratios are basically 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th. I've really gotten spoiled with the gear shift with the gear indicator on here too. My Honda didn't have one. I do miss the gas gauge. I miss the gas gauge. I miss the fork lock. This motorcycle doesn't have a fork lock. The Honda CTX has amazing visibility in the mirrors, and I don't have that on mine. I've got good enough visibility, but it took me some getting used to, not being able to have my full field of vision behind me that I got used to in a Honda. But the visibility out of the mirrors is fine. But boy, this bike has a lot more power. I think the website says it's rated at 72 horsepower. It's mid-range power. It has to be up around 4,000 RPM to really get into its power band, but it'll pull me. I'm doing 40 right now through a kind of a speed trap, and I'm cruising in 4th gear. It's no big deal. Don't really notice 6th. I got to ride a standard Scout on an Indian demo days about a month or so after I purchased this motorcycle, and it was nice. It sounded really cool, but then I found out that's because it had a stage 1 exhaust kit on it, and so I could get that same sound out of my bike if I wanted. I test rode on that demo days. I test rode the Dark Horse. I test rode the Springfield, which is a lovely bike. Test rode the Vintage and test rode a Chieftain. And I just really liked the nimbleness of my motorcycle. And the next door neighbor of the Indian dealer is a Harley dealer that's owned by the same company, and the dealership, not the bikes. In case anybody's going, Polaris owns Indian, Harley Davidson is Harley Davidson, but the dealerships are owned by the same people where I live. And they had demo days at the Harley dealer right next door, so I walked over there, and before I left I went out on what I imagine was probably the most comparable bike, which would have been a 1200 Sportster, and the only one they had out for the demo days was a 48. And no disrespect to anybody, but I really did not like that motorcycle. I wanted off of it as soon as I got on it. It was not comfortable. It really, really, really felt tiny. It had good power, and it handled fine. I didn't like the vibrations. I didn't like the stiffness of the suspension, and I'm much happier with my Indian. And I'm going to stop there. But if you're looking at a motorcycle as a second motorcycle, even a first motorcycle, as long as you don't get over anxious twisting the throttle, it'll be okay. And I'm going to sign off now, and I might do some more video later after I meet up with the guy who has his dog ride the motorcycle with him. Bye.